Have you ever sat in silence, wondering if God is still watching over you? Maybe you've whispered a prayer into the darkness of your room, your face soaked in tears, and felt like no one was listening. You've done everything right. You've tried, you've stayed strong, you've held on, but the pain still lingers. The rejection still stings. The future still feels uncertain. And in that silence, you begin to ask yourself, why me? Why now? Why does life feel so unfair? It's a question many hearts carry, not because they lack faith, but because they're tired. Because life at times becomes a series of unanswered questions, of closed doors, of dreams that slip just out of reach. But what if the silence isn't emptiness? What if it's protection? What if the things that didn't happen, the people who walked away, the moments that shattered your plans were all part of a greater mercy? You see, sometimes protection doesn't feel like a miracle. It feels like heartbreak. Sometimes the door that didn't open saved you from a storm you never saw coming. Sometimes the person who left made space for your healing to begin. Sometimes the delay in your plans was the very thing that kept you from breaking completely. This isn't just a hopeful idea, it's a truth deeply rooted in faith. There's a powerful reminder in the Qur'an that says, "But you may dislike something while it is good for you, and you may like something while it is bad for you. God knows, and you do not know." That verse alone holds so much healing, because it tells us even when we don't understand, even when we don't see the wisdom, God is still protecting, still guiding, still caring for you in ways your heart hasn't even realized yet. You're not being ignored, you're being guarded. So if you've been walking through life feeling invisible, forgotten or lost, stay with me. Because what may feel like chaos right now could be the quiet unfolding of something far better than what you had planned. In this video, we'll talk about 6 powerful signs that show God is still protecting you even when you feel broken. These signs may already be present in your life, but you've been too overwhelmed to see them. Let's take this journey together. Let's shift the way we look at pain. Let's uncover the hidden mercy that often shows up in the form of unanswered prayers. Because maybe, just maybe, what broke you wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to protect you. And God never leaves the heart that turns to Him. Not ever. Let's talk about those moments when life takes a turn you didn't expect and certainly didn't want. You gave your best to that relationship, but it ended. You poured your effort into a job, but you were let go. You planned, prayed, and pushed through, but things still fell apart. In those moments, it's easy to believe that something has gone terribly wrong, that maybe you're being punished, that maybe you're not worthy of God's help. But I want to gently ask you to consider something different. What if those setbacks weren't failures but signs? What if the things that left your life were never meant to stay? What if the pain you're feeling right now is actually part of your protection? What if through all this, God is guiding you away from harm you cannot see? You see, protection doesn't always come with clarity. It doesn't always look like ease or comfort. Sometimes protection from God comes wrapped in silence, struggle, and separation. But His wisdom is never absent, even when His plan feels hidden. That's why today we're diving into 6 powerful signs that may be showing up in your life right now, signs that God is actually protecting you, not punishing you. But before we get to those signs, we have to talk about something even more important: the way pain changes us, and the way it can become our path back to peace. Pain often makes us feel isolated. When we're hurting, we start to question everything: our decisions, our worth, our place in the world. We feel misunderstood, disconnected, alone. But it's in these exact moments that our hearts become more open to something deeper, something that lasts beyond the surface. Patience, gratitude, stillness, trust in God. Those are the qualities that can't be learned through comfort. They're grown through experience, through loss, through healing, through endurance. And here's something else to remember. Not all delay is denial. Not all loss is punishment. Not all silence is abandonment. There's wisdom in the waiting, growth in the quiet, mercy in the redirection. There's a beautiful verse in the Qur'an that reminds us of this truth. Indeed, with hardship comes ease, not after with, meaning even inside your hardest moments, there is goodness forming. Maybe you can't see it yet, but it's there. It might show up as the friend who checks in right when you're about to break. It might be the small peace you feel during prayer after days of anxiety. It might be the idea to start over and the strength to follow through with it. These are not random. These are signs that God is still writing your story, not ending it. In this video, I'll walk with you through 6 gentle signs that often go unnoticed, but each one is a quiet message. I am still with you. I am protecting you. You are not alone. This isn't about ignoring the pain or pretending to be okay. It's about learning how to see differently, to recognize divine care even in moments of disappointment. Because the truth is, protection from God doesn't always feel soft. Sometimes it feels like heartbreak. But what's removed from your life may be the very thing that would have hurt you in ways you'll never know. And when God protects you, it's complete, even when you don't understand it yet. So let's begin. Let's uncover the 6 signs that may already be around you, signs that God is watching over you with more love and mercy than you can imagine. You haven't been forgotten, you've been carried. To truly understand how God protects us through difficulty, let's step into the life of someone whose story holds incredible wisdom, a story filled with pain, betrayal, patience, and divine protection. Let's talk about Joseph, the prophet who was wronged by those closest to him, yet never left God's side. Imagine this: a young boy, innocent and full of dreams, is thrown into a dark well by his own brothers, not strangers, not enemies, his own blood. They couldn't stand his presence. They envied him. So they planned to get rid of him, thinking they were ending his story. But what they didn't realize was that moment in the well was actually the beginning of something extraordinary. From the outside it looked like a tragedy, but from God's view, it was the first step towards something greater. Joseph was later found and sold into slavery, taken far from home, a place where no one knew his name, where no one cared about his pain. He could have fallen into despair. He could have fallen into despair. He could have given up hope, but he didn't. Even in a foreign land, surrounded by strangers, Joseph stayed firm in his faith. He carried himself with dignity. He made the best of where he was, trusting that God still saw him. And then things got worse. He was falsely accused by someone he trusted, and he was thrown into prison, not for a crime he committed, but for refusing to betray his values. Now think about that. He did the right thing and still ended up behind bars. How many times have we been there, doing our best, choosing the honest path, saying no to temptation, and still things go wrong? But Joseph's story teaches us something vital. Sometimes God puts you in places you never asked for to protect you from outcomes you cannot see. That prison was not punishment, it was protection. Because while Joseph sat behind those cold stone walls, God was setting the stage for his rise. A rise that would not just restore him, but place him in a position of leadership, mercy, and justice. Eventually, Joseph was released. His character, patience, and wisdom brought him into the heart of the palace. And in a turn no one could have predicted, he became a powerful figure, entrusted with protecting others during a time of famine. But the most powerful part of his story isn't just his rise, it's what happened when he was finally reunited with the very brothers who had betrayed him. They came to him desperate and starving. They had no idea who he was. And Joseph had every reason to seek revenge. He could have turned them away. He could have punished them, but instead he forgave them. He wept. He showed them compassion, because by then he had realized something profound. Every pain had led him to a place of protection. Every rejection was a redirection, and every delay was part of a divine design. There's a verse that captures his spirit in that moment. He says, "Indeed, my Lord is gentle with whom he wills. Truly he is the all-knowing, the all-wise." Let that settle in for a moment. Gentle with whom he wills. That's what divine protection looks like. It's gentle, but it's not always obvious. It doesn't always come with immediate relief or visible outcomes. Sometimes it looks like a well. Sometimes it looks like slavery. Sometimes it looks like prison. But all along, God is guiding, shielding, building strength, and preparing you for what's next. Joseph's story reminds us that we don't need to understand every step to trust the journey, and we don't need to see the end to believe that God is already there. So if you feel betrayed, remember Joseph. If you feel forgotten, remember the prison. If you feel broken, remember the well. And most of all, remember that your story isn't over. You're still being written, not by chance, but by the one who protected Joseph and is protecting you too. Now let's bring Joseph's story closer to our lives, because maybe you're not sitting in a prison like he was, but emotionally, it feels like you are. Maybe you're trapped in a situation that feels hopeless, a job that drains you, a relationship that confuses you, a season of life that feels like one closed door after another. You try to hold on to faith, but there's a part of you that wonders, where is the ease? Where is the healing? Where is the healing? When will it get better? That's where the story of Joseph becomes so real, because he didn't get answers right away either. He didn't get a quick escape. He waited. He trusted. He stayed connected to God, even when he had every reason to give up. And you can do the same. Your pain might not come from betrayal by brothers, but maybe someone you trusted deeply walked away